So now we're going to talk about what a subscript is. So a subscript is the little number that is behind the element symbol. And so what this number tells you is how many atoms there are. So for example, our first one is going to be C2O2. So the subscript is right here, that tiny little 2. That is called a subscript. And what that tells us is that there's 2 carbon atoms and that there's 2 oxygen atoms. So for example, if I were to block this out, let's say put it all together because it's all grouped up together. So since your elements or your symbols aren't separated, you know that it's all together. And so right here, it tells me that I have 2 carbon atoms. And I have 2 oxygen atoms. So in total, I have 4 atoms. Another example would be, let's do H2O. So in this case, hydrogen has a subscript of 2. So then that means that hydrogen has 2 atoms. But right here, O doesn't have one. So anytime that there is no number, we always will assume that there's a 1 there. Always a 1. So then that means that we'll have 1 oxygen. So oxygen is 1, which means that we have a total of 3 atoms. 2 for hydrogen because there's a 2 underneath that or behind it, and then 1 for oxygen. Let's do one more example. So right here, we know that these are 3 different elements because of the capital letters. And so if I were to draw that out, I'm just going to draw it along. So this subscript would be 2. So carbon has 2 atoms. The subscript for oxygen is 3. So oxygen has 3 atoms. And then hydrogen, again, doesn't have a subscript, so we're going to assume that it's always going to be a 1. So anytime that you don't see anything, I would just put a 1. And so hydrogen has 1 atom. And so whenever we're kind of breaking down our atoms, so we have carbon, we have oxygen, we have hydrogen, you can either look at your model of what you built, or you can just look at your subscripts. So carbon has 2 atoms, oxygen has 3 atoms, and hydrogen has 1 atom. So again, the subscript is the little number. It just tells you how many atoms for each element.